Hey, welcome back. So in this section, we're talking about search and searching algorithms. Now, when I say search, some of you might think of something like Google right away. Now, the algorithm behind Google and its search is very complex, probably one of the most complicated algorithms out there, and it's probably more like 10 different algorithms that are being tested at any given time and things that are being tweaked, not to mention the fact that this algorithm changes so much depending on who you are, your browsing history, the things that you've done, and the things you've clicked on. So when I search for Howler Monkey, I might see different results than if you search for Howler Monkey. So we're not going to even try and recreate anything like this. What we will get to later in the course, not right now, but later once we cover graphs and trees and other complicated data structures, we'll discuss how to search and traverse something like a graph, which is closer to what Google is doing. We're not going to talk about the machine learning behind all of this and how it decides, what is best tailored to me, Colt, versus to someone else down the street. We're just going to talk about when Google first started, before it even cared about people and ads and tracking all of that. If there even was a period, who knows? I doubt there was. But if there was, then we're going to kind of approximate that. But for now, what we're focusing on are even simpler searching algorithms that are really commonly used, but we may not often call it search. For example, let's say that we have a string and we're checking to see if there's another string contained in that string. Or let's say that I have a website and I allow people to sign up and they add their username in. So they sign up with a username and password. Well, we need to tell them if their username is taken. So let's say there's not even a database. Let's not worry about how this works. But let's say I have an array of usernames. If somebody types in a username into the form and says, okay, I'm going to be I hate cats. That's going to be my username, and my password will be secretly loves cats 72 or something. If I hit enter, I need to, the developer, needs to take that username and somehow figure out if it's taken. So if I have a list of usernames, how am I going to figure out if this I hate cats is contained in that list? Now, JavaScript has many built-in ways of doing this. You could, for example, do index of. It's a simple one. And here, let's try that. Usernames.index of I hate cats. This is using a searching algorithm behind the scenes. And so we get 11. And if it weren't in there like that, we should get -1. There are some others that we'll see, some other options. But what we're going to talk about in this section is how these are working behind the scenes and how we can implement our own versions of some of these functions, these built-in methods, and how we can search across arrays and strings. Or one more really quick example, if we had a list of states, an array in the US, I apologize for being America-centric in this video, but if this is what we had, we wanted to make sure a user was inputting a valid state. Well, we could check it against this, but how are we going to do that? What's the best algorithm? We're going to get into that in this section. So what are our objectives? First, just describe what a searching algorithm is. We kind of talked about that a bit. Then we're going to implement linear search on arrays. Then we're going to talk about a slightly better algorithm, binary search, on sorted arrays. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of those approaches. Then we'll implement a naive string searching algorithm, as well as something called the KMP string searching algorithm. So this section is really the first where we're getting into named algorithms. In the recursion section, for example, we talked about how to write a solution to the factorial problem, but it didn't have a name. Like, we haven't really seen code that has a particular name to the solution, but that's going to change in this section. And that will be something that we see throughout the course as a recurring theme. We'll talk about sorting. There's particular names for a lot of common sorting algorithms. So those are our goals. And the first thing we're going to do in the next video is implement linear search.